Hi, welcome to another video from Cardboard East. My name's Jay. I play Asian board games and share what I find with all of you. Today we have left the safety and comfort of our own home and come to the 1914 Creative Park here in downtown Taipei, where there will be the 2022 Playtest Taiwan, where lots of board game designers will all go inside a cool building and we all get to play all these games that are in development. So let's check out this annual board game event here in Asia. And we are off to the races, and it's time for gaming. But before the gaming comes the Schwag. So in case you don't know, in America, a large in America is an extra large here.
Yeah, it's Gildan, so it's basically American size.
Okay. 这 pre-shot 是锁起来吗？
不确定。
不确定。Okay, I think that could work. Thank you for your vote of confidence, Yuan.
Perfect.
Just no burgers and it should be okay. First game of the day is 我的宝贝 by Poke Design. Poke Design has been known in the last few years to make really family-friendly, approachable games that do offer strategic depth and replay value. What About Bay is one of those amazing titles that doesn't translate well. It means my treasure cup, but it also means my baby, like, hey baby, what's up? In this game, players are dropping gems into the cup, and players have to determine whether or not they crossed or exceeded a certain number, and they vote, and if you guess right, you get some of the treasure. If not, well, you lose.
Cardboard East.
Oh, it happened! Did you hear it? It happened!
A big fan of yours.
Oh, thank you.
他是设计师 designer.
Oh, it's nice to meet you. It happened! I had my Star-Lord moment.
农家乐
I can just go home now. I'm out. See you later. Up next is Komoy from Monsoon Publishing. Monsoon Publishing is a new publisher from Taiwan. Over there on the right is the publisher and designer Tony. He's one of those gamers that I guess they exist in every game group. He's the one who can count cards, who can count resources, who knows exactly what's behind your player shield, probably even better than you. And he decided to start publishing games. Kamoy is the old way of saying Jinmun, and Jinmun is one of the many islands surrounding Taiwan. In this game, you're on the island of Komoy, or Jinmun, and you are gathering leftover bullet shells that are left over from the bombing. You are gathering resources and converting the resources of the island to fulfill contracts. And this might all sound kind of, well, nothing new, but this is probably one of the most amazing designs at the event today. This harkens back to old Euro games from like pre-2012, games that I actually really missed, that were not really hard in complexity but offered a lot of strategic depth. If we look right over on the bottom screen, you'll see this action selection where players are taking turns and choosing which actions to take. Then once all the player markers are done, they will do everything in order. But the most interesting part is that as you place the tokens, the first person to place their token there in the column can determine, well, the turn order of the actions. So you might ideally want to gather your resources first and then go to the market to exchange them for the resources that you want. But someone could move before you gather resources, and then you will be forced to move your worker to another part of the island because you only have one worker on the island. The other resources you have are to gather contracts and special player abilities. As you can also build buildings on the island, and the buildings offer special actions that you can take when you move. And what I love about this game is how everything combos and bleeds well together. Like, all the actions really interact with each other. Choosing the selection, choosing the order that everything happens at is a really great way to interact, and it just feels like an older game, but it's fresh and new. and it gives the players ability to interact with each other in negative ways, which you'll see here in, well, just a second. So they want to gain resources.
Yeah. Is that audio on?
Yeah, it's on. No one knows what Calvei means. So they want to gather resources. That happens third. I decide, no, we're going to move first. I love games that can do this and be mean. I'm sorry, did I break the concentration? Did something bad happen? Oh man! Why you gotta go do that? That's mean. There's no other reason to do that except just to be mean.
No, I need to spend my resources.
So yeah, I could be I could be mean in the game, and people can be mean back to me, and it's totally fine. I might seem a little bit upset, but I really enjoy the interactions here. Komoy is actually only one of 3 upcoming games from Monsoon Publishing, and all 3 of their games are going to be a little bit heavier than your average Taiwanese board game, which makes Monsoon Publishing a publisher to really keep your eyes on in the next few years. I think Kamoy is going to be a big hit, and I can't wait to see what the final version looks like. Playtest Taiwan isn't only a place where you can playtest upcoming games that publishers are still in the development process. It's also a place where you can meet famous designers like Roman, which you'll see up soon. I got a chance to do a quick interview with him. He designed Dive, which came out last year, and it's been getting some pretty great reviews. And if you haven't played it, you should definitely check it out because it's a pretty solid game. I trust us. Yeah, it looks good. Playtest Taiwan 2022 is the largest it's ever been. I think when I first came to this event many, many years ago, it was only like 20 tables, and now it's over 50. You'll see some of the great designs here and some of the best designers on the island. Some are heavy, some are light, some are for kids. PUBG, the card game, some have really crazy art that you really don't ever see that often, especially in Western games. Some deal with political themes like this one here, and you still have great games for kids. Up next is 月界棋 by Color Deep. Now, Color Deep is a brand new publisher. In fact, this is their second game. They're currently fulfilling their first game. They didn't do it on Kickstarter because Taiwan isn't allowed to be on Kickstarter. If you see Taiwanese publishers on Kickstarter, they go through a Japanese, Hong Kong, or an American company. Their first game was done on Zugzug. Zugzug is the crowdfunding website for Taiwan. This is their second game currently in development. Now, Color Deep specializes in abstract games, which to me is a breath of fresh air. I found this game to be really, really compelling and interesting, and I definitely want to get a copy in the future. If you'll notice in this game, it's a 2-player abstract game. You have the red and the blue. I'm the red, and my opponent, Jackie, over there is in the blue. But you also notice that I have one white and one black piece. The white piece moves like a rook, moves like a rook, but they can only move orthogonally and only on white. So they treat the black spaces as invisible. My black version of myself is the exact opposite. He moves just like a rook would, but he only moves on black spaces. The white spaces do not exist for him. The goal of the game is to create a bridge. If you can line up these tokens of yours, connecting one side to the other, then you win the game. Now, this can kind of snake through and around, and you can block your opponent, kind of like the Tron cycles. On your turn, you will move the item on the left, if you see the little tiny board. And according to how that moves, you'll be able to move one of your 2 pieces. Now, for every piece that you move onto, you could drop one of your little fire or ice tokens. You can only do 4 on your turn. Now, you could also remove an opponent, and that costs us one of the 4 action points you have to place pieces down. But I can't stress enough how really impressive this game was. You could see here that I'm still kind of struggling to learn the rules. but I found this to be really, really amazing. Jackie told me that I was doing a good job, even though I did eventually lose the game. But if you are interested in abstracts, then I definitely recommend you keep your eye on Color Deep, because their games do look really, really promising. And I think I'm going to try and start collecting them all.
And that's it.
Yep.
Good game, man.
And the day continues, and we get to Formosa Drop, which is a throw and write game. Not roll and write, but throw. You're throwing cubes on here. They'll land on these circles, and it'll be north, south, east, or west, or central, not west. And then you will cross. You can only choose one of the cubes, and you'll slowly cross things off. Very similar to Welcome 2. I really loved the dexterity aspect of throwing cubes. And I found that interesting, and I definitely want to see more of this style of play. Really innovative from a brand new designer. Definitely worth keeping an eye out for. Now, this one is Komoy, which is Russian for hero, but this game has nothing to do with Russia or heroes. Orego Studios is here in Taiwan. And it is a 2-player or 2v2 tactical war game. But instead of doing this with minis, you're doing this with little hexagons. And I gotta admit that it does have a few problems, I think, with iconography, but the gameplay is really outstanding, and I really had a great time playing this. I didn't know anyone at the table. I just sat down and had a great time trying to summon up my monsters. All these asymmetrical factions are here, and we all have different abilities. And it was really, really quite fascinating. I believe, if I can remember correctly, there were only a few different ways to win the game. You can fill up your portal, which you'll see there right behind the R and the O. If you fill it up with crystals, then you instantly win the game. If you kill one of the two leaders or the two summoners of your opponent, then you win the game. Or if you destroy your opponent's portal, then you win the game. Now, you only have 6 days to get it done. The crystals in your gates are pretty much like your mana that you use to summon your soldiers, and the soldiers are worth various amounts. You can see there on the right side of the screen, there's my guy with the torch, who was pretty amazing, and I absolutely love that character. And they only cost 2 crystals, as you can see there in the center of their card. But what's interesting is that the more pieces that you have on the board, each piece generates a crystal. So you kind of have to balance. Do you either summon a lot of weak soldiers and start generating more of your economy? Or do you save up your crystals to bring out the big guns and your big warriors who are going to do a lot of damage and hopefully live long enough to kill your opponent? I talked to the designer of this, and he does plan to launch this on Kickstarter sometime soon, hopefully by the end of this year or beginning of next, and I think it's definitely worth looking into. One of the things I really liked about this game is that it had a very different way of doing line of sight. I play a lot of D&D or tactical games, and line of sight is always something interesting. Is it point to point? Is it center center? Is it corner to edge? This one is the shortest path of hexes from your shooter to your target, which is really rather simple. So if you could hit it 3 away for the shortest distance, then you could hit it. And naturally, you still have to be in range. But yeah, that is Komoy from Orego Studios. Definitely a really good game if you're into the Ameritrash style. And you have all these player combos and treasures and ways to build and boost up your character. A lot of great little back and forth. Tons of fun. And sadly, as much as I want to play like over 50 games in one day, I just can't. Oh, well, that wraps up another year of the board game playtest. There are over 50 this year, the largest it's ever been. Brand new location, tons of new designers from all over. I met people from Europe, from North America. It's very exciting to be in Taiwan this time of year. And I just had to get out of there really quickly because I didn't eat lunch, and I'm going to have this massive feast of sushi. Cheers. See you guys next week.